The attendance numbers you noted, BYU's been such a great addition to the Big 12 Conference. In fact, in conference games only, just looking at the league season, BYU will be #1 in the Big 12 in conference game attendance in its first year in this league.
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary, and we fit in this league.
Absolutely.
So it's great.
Fit in every way. There was an insurance company that a few years ago began using a tagline, "Life comes at you fast." And I think that really describes Big 12 basketball pretty well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It just is nonstop, and I think that's what makes it so exhilarating. And doesn't it seem like we went on the road and beat Kansas? It seems like 2 months ago. Everything comes so fast, and we just had in fact, it was just last night. It was less than 24 hours ago. We were playing in an unbelievable venue. Please, if you get a chance ever to go out to Hilton Coliseum at Iowa State and get to see us battle against the great program they have there. It just was it was so incredible and so fun. And then we're on to a huge game against Oklahoma State. And what's crazy is we'll play Oklahoma State on Saturday, and then you have 2 days to prep for the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City, and it doesn't stop, and thankfully it doesn't, because when it stops, it means it's over. So let's keep going.
It's going to go for a while. The Big 12 tournament, by the way, began today in a way because the women got going today, and it'll be a week and a half of straight basketball there at T-Mobile in Kansas City. It'd be great. And
I think this is for all BYU fans. If you get a chance to go out there, it's got much more of a Final Four vibe to it. Fan bases really, really travel, and it just takes over the entire city of Kansas City, and we can't wait to be a part of it.
BYU last night set a school record. It broke a record that your first BYU basketball team year set back in 2019-20. That 2019-20 team, Coach Pope's first team at BYU, made the most threes in a single season in BYU history. Well, you broke that record last night with still one more regular season game to go.
Yeah, we're getting them up. We're definitely doing that. And actually, in our last 2 games, we were 27 and 28 attempts, and we haven't even crossed the 30 threshold. So that's a little distressing to us. We need to shoot it a little bit more, but it's been a key part of what our team has forced defenses to do, and it's been really fun. We're not quite shooting the same percentages as we did 5 years ago. We were at 42.2% as a team. But we are compensating by being voracious on the offensive glass. It's back-to-back games. Also, we've been at 14 offensive rebounds, which is a spectacular number. I like the way we're playing. I like the way our guys are competing, and I like the way that it gives us a chance in every single game.
College basketball is pretty unique in the sports in that there's such a rhythm and a build-up to March. And everyone knows what March means in this sport. How invigorating and energizing is it to know that you've got tournament time literally just around the corner right now?
Yeah, you think about March so far for us. We had an epic comeback at home against TCU, and then we had an epic game, number 20 versus number 6 on the road at Iowa State that came down to the wire. And if this is what March is going to be for the rest of the month, sign me up. This is awesome.
By the way, after one brief week away, you got back into the top 25, which made that 20 versus 6 ranking. And that's an important thing, too. And your guys feel it when on the 1 week they didn't weren't in the poll. It kind of like rubbed them a little bit the wrong way a little bit.
Yeah, we have several different polls. Kind of the ones that we pay most attention to are we pay attention to the net, of course, which is the official analytical sorting tool used by the NCAA. We pay attention to KenPom, which is kind of the universal. Both of those are analytics-based sorting tools. And so they kind of get away from the public perception, the eye test. They just tell you what teams are, and they become more accurate as the season goes on because you have a bigger sample size, and data is sample size. And then there's the AP poll. And the AP poll is beautiful because it's 100% just, I don't know, what is 100 people that vote on it?
A little less than that, but yeah.
75 people, 70, 60 people that vote on it, and it's just their perception. And so it kind of goes away from analytical and just goes to how people feel and their biases and everything else. But it's a really important poll for us because we want to be a great basketball team by the numbers, but we want BYU basketball to be perceived nationally, just the perception as being a top elite program. And these guys have accomplished, they've earned the right by the country to be perceived as a top 25 team in this country all year long. And the guys should be super proud of that, and it means something to them.
Want to get to our highlights, and we'll talk about Oklahoma State in a bit later as well, but it is also a senior night coming up here in 2 days for you. Tell our people here and the audience who we are honoring on Saturday night as seniors.
Well, it'll be three guys. It's Trayden Christensen, who has been a walk-on for us the last 2 years and actually played in huge games for us last year when we had some roster turnover, and has been a heart and soul, beautiful, beautiful guy for our team. He tore his ACL early in the season, and so hasn't had a chance to play that much this year. And then Jackson Robinson, who everybody knows Jackson Robinson. He just is. He has been an incredible talent here that has grown so much, and literally game to game to game, you see him adding new tools to his toolkit. Yesterday, he was so extraordinary in transition playing with force. It was really beautiful to watch. He made 3 plays, 2 in the first half and 1 in the second half, against massive pressure downhill that were really special, and he's been absolutely terrific. He's on several draft boards now, and so he'll make a decision after the season's over on kind of what his future looks like, but we're going to make sure and honor him. And then we're incredibly excited also about Spencer Johnson, who has had just a magnificent career by every definition. And we've, on this show, we've kind of taken us through his course, but he started his first semester of college basketball after his mission at Weber State, and it didn't go exactly right, so he transferred and spent his second semester of college basketball at Utah Valley University, and that didn't go exactly right for a number of reasons, and then actually transferred to Salt Lake Community College. So it was 3 different schools in literally 13 months. And then had a great experience at Salt Lake Community College, ended up coming here, had an incredibly tough training camp where he sat for most of training camp and was wondering if he could ever fit into this level. And by the end of that season, if Greg remembers, we started talking about him because he was earning a lot of playing time off the bench, and he was one of those guys that I always say I could put him in the game and just forget he was out there because he was so solid defensively. And then over the course of the last 2 years, he's gone from, he's become one of the leaders of the team. He's become an elite level playmaker this year. Last year, he was the 13th best 3-point percentage player in the country. And along with all that, he's graduated from BYU. He started some serious activity in his real estate company. And to boot, he's married and had his first son a couple weeks ago. And if you tell me that's not what you want out of your college experience, you got to be dreaming. Like he's done it all in college, and I couldn't be more proud of these 3 guys.
The one thing he hasn't done with you guys is get to an NCAA tournament, though, and that's going to change. That'll be a really complete career when that happens, too.
And I didn't even mention getting to usher us into the Big 12 for the first year. And so, he's got a ton more basketball in him here at BYU and on to the future, and as clearly does Jax. These are 3 guys that have given so much to BYU, and we couldn't be more grateful. So
Spence, Trayden, and Jax. And like you said, Jax's senior night is a bit of a contingency in that if he did choose to come back, he could. But we're going to wait to see how the draft process plays out.
And he will be a major recruit also.
Yes.
We'll see how that goes.
Yes. It was only 24 hours ago, as Coach noted, that BYU was hooping it up at Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. The Cyclones and Cougars meeting for the second time in 2 regular season matchups. BYU won the first game in Provo, and Iowa State got one back last night. Let's take a look at some individual highlights and some team stats presented by Intermountain Health. And Richie Saunders, King Richard, what do we say? He had a career-high tying 20 points in this game, 3 for 3 on threes in the first half. Gave you guys just the start you needed last night.
Yeah, Richie was great finishing at the rim. He was great cutting. He was clearly great from the perimeter, and really got us off to a great start. We shot the ball extremely well in the first half. And the thing I was most proud of for most of the game, whether it was a great or not a great outcome, our guys stayed aggressive against the best defense in the Big 12 and on their home floor, the number 6 team in the country. And I was really proud of that.
All right, Jack's a pull and fire and a score from 3. He's the only player on this team with a 3 in every Big 12 game. So that's 17 consecutive games with a 3. ninth longest single streak in single season history for BYU.
And you think about those two finishes we saw, the last two highlights, how physical he was, penetrating, protecting the ball through multiple bodies, and still being able to finish at the rim. That's a slice of his game that he's adding right now. His confidence is growing in that area, and he's going to become a multiple, a 3-level scorer by the time this is all done.
One of the biggest changes from Provo to Ames was the turnover number. 11 is a manageable number at your place. 17 is a little higher than you want to be against these guys.
Yeah,
but average for them.
17 killed us. We turned it over 3 out of our last 5 possessions. Credit Iowa State. A lot of credit goes to them. Their pursuit of the ball, their multiple player pursuit of the ball is on par with the very best. I mean, they are the very best in the country, and certainly there were moments in the game where that got to us, and we didn't respond exactly like we want to, but we still have, I think we took a ton away from this game where we continue to grow, we continue to get better, and we feel like we're playing high-level basketball.
One of the things I think about is moving forward into this year's postseason, there hardly will be a thing you could see that you haven't already seen in the Big 12.
Yeah, we're not going to see a more athletic team. We're not going to see more talented backcourts. We're not going to see more physical teams. We might see teams that are more creative or execute more on the fringes, which can always be a challenge. But we're gonna, we have seen the best in this country, and we've seen them night after night after night, and we've seen every difficult venue in this country, so we feel really prepared, and now it's a matter of us playing great basketball as we move into the postseason.
Well, last week on this show, we were looking ahead to the Cougars' lone regular season meeting with TCU. The Horned Frogs were in the Marriott Center on a memorable Saturday night. It was a tale of two halves. BYU trails by 17 at the break, then outscores TCU by 29 after halftime. Let's take a look at some individual highlights and team stats again, presented by Intermountain Health. And Foose led BYU in scoring. It was a Foose night, 21 for Fousseyni Traore.
Yeah, Foose was spectacular on both ends of the floor, and made big plays in transition, made big plays in the post, made big plays out of the short roll. He was really physical, really patient, and was absolutely tremendous.
He was one of 2 players who scored 20 or more for you against TCU. Trevin Knell was the other. He had an even 20, 4 for 10 from deep. It was his 3rd career game with 20 or more points.
Yeah, and Trev just got us going in the second half. We came out of halftime, a little bit shaky and a little bit trying to figure things out. And Trev's like, yep, get me the ball. And just really, really went to work for the 3-point line to start the second half, and kind of inspired the whole team with a little bit of confidence.
Dallin Hall had one of those special nights for a point guard. 7 assists to only 1 turnover. He was also 3 for 5 from deep. Ends up with a 12-6-7 line with that 1 turnover, points, rebounds, and assists. Yeah,
Dallin was not happy with me after the game because he really had an absolute factual 7-0 game, 7 assists, 0 turnovers. But there were 34 seconds left, and TCU kind of stopped. And so I'm just like, guys, just hold the ball, and we'll take the turnover. And Dallin gallantly took one for the team and kept the ball in his hands. But he really had a 7-0 game, and he deserves that. You could blame that one on the coach for sure.
Did not even think about that.
This etiquette, man, is just really tough.
Took the shot clock violation. Richie Saunders, meantime, 11 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, a +19. And a heart and soul game for you.
The first clip, I wish we could run it back because it's actually Richie is catching a move, and he goes and puts 2 hands on the ball, and there's actually a still photo floating around. After he rips the ball out of his hands, the offensive player actually grabs Richie's head in a bear hug, and the still shot of it's pretty incredible. And that's how Richie frustrates opponents, because he plays so hard. He's a gift to BYU.
And it was one of the, we used the phrase Marriott Center magic, and it was in effect that night, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And we don't win those, much like I think Iowa State would say about last night, they don't win that game without their home crowd, which was tremendous. We don't win that game versus TCU without our home crowd, and that's why home court advantage is so huge in the Big 12.